images.
Aw. Aw.
Display. Nancy. Nancy here. Pictures of the family. All right, we're being seated now. I'm gonna go be seated now.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Guys, go silent.
Okay, silent.
My name is Rabbi Gabriel Scher, and I am privileged to be here today to honor and celebrate the life of Nancy Faith. I'm humbled to be able to help lay your loved one to rest, to ensure that the celebration is both one of joy, reflection, integrity. But in order to do that, we have to first understand what it means to have a funeral, to have this memorial space in Jewish tradition. The Hebrew word is levaya, literally to escort one to their resting place. We believe that that's done not only in the physical form of walking to the interment after this, but also in the way we escort our loved ones through story, through reflection. And in our tradition, we don't believe that this is the final moment. We believe this is our last opportunity for tangible love, and the first of many opportunities and reflection to remember and honor and uplift Nancy's memory. There's a time for everything, a time for every experience under heaven, a time for being born and a time for dying, a time for being planted and a time for uprooting the planted, a time for destroying and a time for healing, for tearing down and building up, for weeping and laughing, for wailing and dancing, a time for throwing stones, a time for gathering stones, a time for embracing, a time to refrain from embrace, a time for seeking and a time for losing, a time for keeping and a time for discarding, to tear, to sow, for silence and speaking, a time for war and a time for peace. This is from Kohelet, a piece from our text. We have always recognized that life is fragile. And inside of that fragility of life is finding all those right moments, those right times. Death never feels like it's the right moment. That's part of the trade-off of the way in which we experience love and companionship and joy. I had a number of speakers come up, the first of which is going to be Josh and Danny. Sorry, I need a second here. The rabbi told me it was okay not to be okay, so I'm gonna crawl my way through this. Let's pause the speech just in case. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today to say our final goodbyes to our mom. She was a shining beacon in our lives. She was a creative influence and exceptional talent. She had a flair for the dramatic arts. She loved her family, her friends, and she's going to be sorely missed. She was born in Chicago, moved to Los Angeles with her family when she was a young girl. Growing up in LA,
She gave me appreciation for drama, an appreciation that she carried and lived through her whole life. She met her dad in the late 70s. They married in 1981. Though the marriage didn't last, they had almost 25 years together, and they raised two amazing, smart,
Talented, intelligent, excellent, poised.
emotional children. And went on to have 3 grandchildren. To our mom, it was everything from an early age. I remember large gatherings at our house in Studio City, pool parties, barbecues, a revolving door of family and friends. They came through our home. We moved to the Bay Area in the early 90s. And with so many friends and family that are still here, this has become our second home too. Growing up, the fabric of our lives. This is one of those pauses. Growing up, the fabric of our lives was weaved with an ever-present mosaic of musicals, plays, music, and the arts. Our mom was a creative force beyond compare. When we were young, both of our parents had significant health issues, which eventually led to my mom retiring from Beverly Hills High School, where she was a drama teacher. Despite those obstacles, she continued to share that passion with Danny and I in our community as we grew up. When I was in preschool, she directed a Broadway quality show, West Side Story. I was cast as one of 3 Tonys in the play. To be fair, she decked me out in bleached jeans and had full-on bicycle walks around me to complete the look. She produced, as we were getting older in elementary school, Fiddler on the Roof, Peter Pan, all of our huge productions with hundreds of kids, almost our entire school, and dozens of parent volunteers that went on to become her very great and close friends. At the time, I probably didn't appreciate the extent of her skills. However, in retrospect, she had a gift and a talent. And in another life, she would have loved to have pursued a career in Hollywood. As we grew older and our passion to act and perform waned, our mom had to find a new crop of students to carry on with. She found this in a group of parents from our community and formed what was known as the Radin'S leadership. Over the course of several years and a number of productions, she molded and shaped a group of lawyers, doctors, engineers, business professionals, and moms into a Broadway-worthy group of performers. She built a literal stage in our home, in our garage, complete with lights, curtains, director's chairs, and on a weekly basis, all my friends' parents would come and get drunk on Chardonnay and practice the vignettes, Neil Simon plays. My mom told them to jump. You better believe that they did. If she told them to take it from the top again for the 5,000th time, they wouldn't care. She was the boss, and her friends were happy to oblige. She sold out shows night after night in our community, and I remember this is probably one of the happiest times of her life. As we got older and our parents' marriage started to fade, our lives became a little bit more complicated. If there was one thing that my mom loved as much as acting, it was moving. She did a half a dozen moves in the area in Los Angeles, trying to find a place to settle down. Though we wish she would have stayed in the Bay Area, she found comfort in LA. and created a nice life for herself down here. She bought a condo in Westwood, volunteered with cancer patients at UCLA, wrote a book about her cancer troubles, and found a rather full-time hobby engaging my dad in constant divorce litigation. Though not necessarily the most fun part of our lives, there was never a dull moment or lack of drama to be had. While living in LA, she gained a much younger roommate and our cousin Rachel. So take a break again. She gained a second family with our cousin Gary and Alyssa and their kids. She was known as Fancy Nancy. She shared countless Shabbat dinners, evenings at your house. I remember half a dozen Thanksgiving morning late nights here. I can't tell you what your love and friendship meant to her. I can't even see the words so loud. Mom battled cancer for 20 years. 20 years. I can't speak enough about what a miracle that was. Though it's a sad time for us, it brings me great comfort knowing she was living on borrowed time and gave a big F to the guy upstairs, waiting trying to call her number. She was a real fighter. She was an executive producer of her own life and destiny. And though she was an extremely talented individual, the role that she truly excelled in came almost 6 years ago when Marin and I had our first son, Jackson. As a parent, she could be tough. We didn't always see eye to eye. We definitely had our fair share of disagreements. As a grandmother, she was exceptional. She was amazing. It was a role she was destined to support it. At the time, Marin and I were living in a tiny, and I emphasize tiny, 2-bedroom apartment in San Francisco, and my mom was still living in Los Angeles. She would fly out and stay on our couch for weeks at a time. She would take care of our son, she would do bath time, she would change diapers, she would watch him so we could get a little bit of dinner and get out. Anything to spend time with him. There came a time where Marin and I had to sit down and explain it might make more sense for her to move back up and get an apartment, which she did. She moved down the street from us, and she was an ever constant presence in our lives. She was with us on a daily basis, every day after school, over hanging out with our kids. I used to receive hundreds of Amazon boxes out my front door with nerve rockets and puzzles. She didn't buy one, she'd buy 50,000 of these things. And we would get the bites and say, Mom, because I can't keep up with this. So instead of addressing the boxes to me, she would address them to my son. I'm still getting Amazon boxes. The last few years have been exceptionally hard. We lost our dad 2 years ago, and now our mom. COVID put a wrench in all of our lives, but despite this, my mom was not deterred to be the best grandmother that she knew how to be. When my family all had COVID last year, my mom would text us multiple times a day asking to come over and see the kids. And I repeatedly had to text her back, Mom, you have cancer, you have COVID. Why don't we just wait a couple of days until you're negative? Her response, Josh, I've got a limited amount of time on this earth, and you better believe there's not a damn thing that's gonna keep you from seeing these kids. And so she would drive over with her gloves, with her mask, her full hazmat suit. She would kidnap my son, take him for breakfast, take him back to her house, and we would see him 48 hours, 72 hours later. My mom and Jackson were literally best friends. She wore a necklace with his name on it until the day that she died. As we welcomed our daughter into the world, that love and selfless grandmotherly nature extended to her as well. A few weeks ago, in failing health, she was at our house playing with the kids. And I asked her, "Is it okay, can I go to the supermarket and to get some food for dinner for the kids?" "No problem. Take your time, go ahead." So I looked at my daughters, 2.5, and said, "Ariella, you need to pick up this bomb of toys that is all over our living room before I get back." So I left. I came back about 15 minutes later, and I walk into the house, and my mom and Ariella are in an argument. And my 2-year-old's looking at my mom, going, Nancy, you pick up these toys right now, or I'm sending you to your room." And my mom looked at each other and broke down, tears, laughing. That was one of many moments that we had. And she enjoyed watching me get hustled by my kids. Watching our kids grow up, watching my dog, my sister. Even in her failing health, I think was the pinnacle of her years. I'm gonna miss my mom. My kids, they're gonna miss their Aunt Nancy. She was truly a light in our lives. I'm thankful. And she was able to live long enough to see her kids grow up, get married, start families, and create bonds with the kids that will last their lifetimes. I have a small space on our mantle now for our mom and our dad, so I'm hopeful they can spend some time working out their differences. Before we get to see them again. Again, thank you everybody for joining us today to say our final goodbyes. We love you all. Rest easy.
Hi. Thank you everyone for joining us today to honor the life of our mom, Nancy Faith Radin. It's surreal to be here at Eden Memorial. Our family has been coming to this very place since before I was born. Josh and I have been coming here since we were very young to honor, visit, and lay to rest beloved family members, including our Grandma Jean, our Papa D, our Aunt Shirley, and Uncle Jerry. Being here today to honor the life of and mourn the death of Mom is one of those life milestones that no matter how much you try to prepare yourself, it is indescribably challenging. Mom held a one-of-a-kind place in the hearts of every single person here. She's been gone from this earth for less than 3 weeks, yet her absence is massively felt by us all. Mom had a spark. She was a brilliant, passionate, ambitious, creative, funny, strong, talented woman. She lit up rooms when she entered them and lived with an unshakable determination to create beautiful, humorous, creative masterpieces and share them with the world. I spent my entire life from infancy in complete awe of Mom's many talents. And even today, I still am. Growing up, Mom didn't cook us dinner every night, or any night, for that matter. But she was a pool shark, a playwright, a performer, a tech nerd, a Shakespeare buff. And she built, like my brother said, an entire multi-level stage with professional lighting and a sound booth in our garage with her own 2 hands. As children, Mom made certain our lives were full of adventure, teaching us to ski and swim and filling our little lives with extracurriculars and activities and making sure that we knew every single word of Motown's greatest hits and every musical theater that ever hit Broadway. By the time I was 6 years old, I could do an on-demand one-child show of West Side Story and follow it up with a full set of Diana Ross and the Supremes' greatest hits. When I was small, Mom set her sights on channeling her talents into building me a bona fide professional acting career. As we all know, when Mom set her sights on something, she would not relent until she achieved her goal. To that end, Mom somehow managed to wiggle me into a speaking role in a Francis Ford Coppola movie starring Robin Williams and J-Lo before I even finished the 4th grade. While that is not an experience I speak of often, I have many fond memories of Mom and I sneaking into movie theaters with different family members, many of you here, to watch the trailer for Jack from the back of the theater, only to leave after the 60-second trailer was over to sneak into the next theater and do the exact same thing. For the handful of years that Mom was my momager, she and I would travel back and forth from the Bay Area to LA for my little auditions. We would practice my lines at the airline gate on the plane, and as we waited in line for our Enterprise rent car, we would hop in our rental and immediately turn the radio to K Earth 101, and Aretha Franklin or Sonny and Cher or Frankie Valli would fill our ears. Our first stop would always be a Mears falafel shop where we would split a falafel sandwich, and Mom would coach me for my upcoming auditions. And on my favorite days, we would split a baklava for dessert. In the evenings, we would leave Warner Brothers Studios or wherever we had spent the day, and Mom would take me to listen to the servers sing show tunes at Miss Ellie's Italian restaurant in Universal City, or teach me to play pool at a dark, smoky pool hall in Santa Monica. I will never forget the day that I told Mom I didn't want to pursue acting anymore. Afraid of disappointing her. But that wasn't the only reason I was fearful. I was afraid if I wasn't acting anymore, I would lose all of the time I got to spend with Mom. Even though I wasn't really crazy about acting, I absolutely loved the quality time that we got to spend with each other. And I loved how passionate Mom was about what we were doing together. Ultimately, Mom supported my decision and didn't push me to keep acting if it wasn't really something I wanted to do. But I do think she secretly always wished that I grew up to be a Disney Channel star instead of a sociology major. This was not the last time that I made a decision to follow my heart and stray from the script that Mom had laid out in front of me. And just like at play practice, Mom could be a tough cookie if you didn't stick to the script. She was never shy to tell me when she didn't agree with my decisions or approve of my choices. But throughout my life, despite our differences in viewpoint or opinion, she still supported me in many ways, and we both worked very hard on our relationship over the years. To this day, I wonder if Mom ever fully realized that my determination, conviction, and self-assuredness that drove her crazy are all qualities that I inherited directly from her. Throughout Mom's multiple decade battle with cancer, she ventured back and forth from the Bay Area to LA more times than any of us can count. Mom always saw Los Angeles as her home. She loved it here, but she longed to be close to Josh and me, and ultimately to Jackson and eventually Ariella. During Mom's period of living here in LA, Josh did our very best to visit her, coming down for treatments, doctor's appointments, surgeries, or to help her move apartments again. We did our best to support her from afar, and of course we spent a lot of time worrying about her well-being. The only thing that gave us any peace of mind during this challenging circumstance was the incredible circle of friends and family here in LA. Mom gushed to us about her life down here and all of the people who filled her time and her heart every day. Thank you all for being Mom's community and for watching over her and making her happy for all of the years that she lived down here while Josh and I were up north. The final years that Mom spent with us in the Bay Area were a beautiful gift. They were years full of birthday celebrations, family dinners, Hanukkahs, breakfasts with Nana and Jaxie, family vacations to Mexico, to Hawaii, and Whitney Houston dance parties in the living room. At the very beginning of the pandemic in 2020, I remember calling Mom a couple of months after my first date with my now husband, Al. She could tell in my voice that there was something special about him. And in that first conversation, she said, "Are you going to get married?" "I think so," I said, and we both cried tears of joy on the phone. The following spring, Josh, Marina, Al, Mom, and I went out to dinner to celebrate my 35th birthday. And Al and I shared at the dinner that we had chosen our wedding venue, a beautiful hotel under the Golden Gate Bridge called Cavallo Point. And then we picked a September date for our wedding. Never shy to share her opinion, Mom said, "Cavallo Point in September is a beautiful choice. Just don't get pregnant before the wedding." Well, a couple of months later, I was FaceTiming Mom in the middle of a Monday afternoon in July with an exciting surprise. I would indeed be walking down the aisle pregnant, and her third grandchild was set to arrive in March of the following year. Mom was elated, and again, we cried tears of joy together on the phone. Mom stole the show at our wedding that summer, beaming as she scooted down the aisle on her mobility scooter, which was decorated with beautiful fresh flowers. I was up the hill waiting to make my bridal entrance, and I could hear the laughter and the joy of all of our wedding guests cascading over the hill as Mom zoomed down the aisle with our niece Ariella on her lap. In March of this year, 9 days before his due date, our son Noah decided it was time to make his way earthside, and my water broke at 1 a.m. on March 2nd. Al and I frantically packed our hospital bags and hopped in the car to drive to the hospital in San Francisco. On the way there, I made one phone call. Mom was out asleep when she answered the phone. "Hello, is everything okay?" she said. "Happy birthday, Mom. I have a really special birthday present for you. My water broke and we're on our way to the hospital. And just like his Nana, our baby Noah was born at 10 a.m. on March 2nd. It was the best gift I could ever give her for what I didn't know at the time of her last living birthday." In the 9 months since Noah was born, we stuffed as much Nana Nancy time as we possibly could. Mom's last real outing with all of us was coming to Josh's house with us and all the grandkids for Halloween. And we have a photo of the whole crew from that day in our ridiculous costumes together. I will cherish the memories that we got to make with baby Noah and Nana Nancy forever. Today is a particularly difficult day for Josh and me, because it is the second time we have to formally say goodbye to one of our beloved parents in less than 2 years. It is no secret that our parents' marriage didn't end well and that there were many years of struggle between them thereafter. But that in no way minimizes the incredible job they did parenting us. They gave us absolutely everything, and they taught us that family is the most important thing in the world. Over the past 2 years, Josh and I were by both of our parents' sides as their lives came to an end. We worked together to ensure that they were safe, that they were cared for, surrounded by love and comfort in the final days and moments of their lives. The closeness that Josh and I share and our ability to navigate these tragedies together is a testament to our parents. And it has been an honor to care for them at the end of their lives, the way that they both cared for us throughout ours. Mom fought courageously on a long, challenging road, and now she is at peace and no longer suffering in a physical body. I hope Mom is experiencing the everlasting peace that she deserves and directing a heavenly production of Fiddler on the Roof as we speak. Mom was a bright, shining star, and we will miss her greatly. Thank you for helping us celebrate her today.
Mourning is the price that we pay for having the courage to love others. Even in grief, we know the wonder of human life is too complex, too magnificent to be memorialized in endless pain. The gift of spirit our loved ones gave us cannot be measured or weighed, nor can they be lost or even tarnished by time. Even in our darkest hours, we know that some of their light, their warmth, will always be with us, bringing comfort, courage, and in the fullness of time, healing and peace. Sharing stories is the first aspect of that, of lifting up the truth of who our loved ones are, allows us to begin this process of how we say goodbye. I'm going to ask brother and sister come forward to speak first. Mark, come first. And
I'm not very good at this, and I got really emotional, so I just wrote down a few notes. You know, I remember that, it's always hard to do this. Remember the day my parents brought my sister home from the hospital, and I picture her in my parents' bedroom. I was two years and 9 months older than my sister. And I still picture this little baby, beautiful little baby, sitting, laying on that, my parents' bed. And here it is, 7 years later, and it's still in my mind. And I remember how the excitement I had having a little sister. I just wrote down, this is not organized, and Danny and Josh took a lot of my material away. So I'm scratching some of it. But some of the things were, my sister always got really upset. Her name became Nancy, because my dad could never remember her name. So we'd start off with Linda, we started calling her Linda, and it was always Nancy. So that was something that's always annoying to her. And when she was small, she was a real tomboy. And she was so excited when my dad finally went out when she was about 5 years old. I got her a baseball uniform. And she would love to throw a ball with my dad every night when we come home from work. I was trying to think of, a few little anecdotes or stories, experiences I had that they're so memorable. Like nothing stood out for me. But there were things like, I was talking to my son Michael, and he said, well, remember the time we went to Disney World? Michael was about 4 years old, and Nancy was visiting, and we went to Disney World. And they kept having power outages. And then we got stuck in a small world for about 2 hours. And, that's something Nancy and I, laughed about all these years, for 30 some odd years about getting stuck in small worlds. And how we almost lost it. Let's see, we took a cruise together, we traveled together. My sister was really amazing. She was creative, she was so talented in everything she did. And like Danny and Josh said, very impulsive. She would move on an impulse. One day, Steve and I were in Westwood. We were there with her looking at condos, and she was putting an offer, and the next thing I get a call the next morning, no, I'm moving. I'm going to move back up to San Francisco. Yeah, she's so typical the way she was. I'm scratching some of these things I was going to say, but more than anything in this world, my sister cherished her kids. And our family, and our cousins and experiences. We all had together growing up. And how much love we had. And now she's going to be put to rest with my mother, my father, my aunt, Uncle Shirley, and Jerry. And I wish her well.
As been said earlier, I want to thank everybody for coming out here. Why am I the old guy to have all my notes on my phone? instead of writing it. But I want to also start with how wonderful Josh and Dan have found this whole thing from the get-go, from running back and forth to the house 5 times to do the treatments, the drugs, the this, and just being there for them.
Hosting meetings.
And hosting.
And Linda came from.
And me too, so, I'll start, and I just have some notes here, I don't really do real brief, but I'll start with kind of a time-sensitive chronological order. I came home after being born as an infant, and the story I've heard years after years after years is how Nancy had that same glove and ball and was ready to play baseball with her little brother as an infant, as a newborn. I remember when we moved here and I had to go start at Marin Vista. Nancy walked me the first couple of days to the school, just to make sure I knew the way to get there. And then I had a bike, and making sure that I knew where to cross the streets of Olympic Boulevard and how to park my bike and lock it up. Then as times moved on and I was, I want to say 10 or 12 years old, Nancy took me to Lake Arrowhead. And we rented a little boat in the middle of the lake just to take a trip. Josh and Dan will be from 3 years right now. She smoked a little joint.
No.
I didn't. And next thing she starts to do is stand up a little boat. I said, Nancy, what are you doing? Sit down, and boat went over. So we're sitting there in the water, swimming, holding out the boat, and she's taking one of the oars and knocking her jacket down because Easter, whoever was going to come rescue her, she didn't want to see what she had. It was one of those kinds of things. Later on, my dad had a dry cleaners right down the street for the Greek Theater and the Hollywood Bowl and all that. So Nancy got tickets. I and Nancy went to Hot August Night, Neil Diamond. Some of you people know that. We also saw the Fifth Dimension there. So we had a lot of times like that. We had some wonderful times with concerts. I hadn't been sad or anything except for when I went up to see her a week or two before she went. And I've said this story to a lot of people, and I'll say it again. She held up 6 figures. She says, "That's what they say I have." I said, "What, 6 years, 6 months, 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months?" And she kind of blew me off with that. I said, "So how does that make you feel?" And she looks at me and says, "How am I going to feel?" And realistically, all of us, when our time comes, how do you feel about all of it? She hit it, and then as I'm leaving the last time that day, I said to her, I said, "Okay, I'll see you next time." And she looked at me and says, "We'll see," you know. And I don't think I know she knew something was going on because everybody was coming up to listen to her. And that's when it hit me as I'm walking out with Josh. And Josh gave me a big hug, said, "How are you doing?" And I said, "Well, we'll see," you know. It was hard. It was very hard. Nancy and I were very close when we were younger, very close. Did a lot of stuff together. She bossed me around just like she bossed you guys around. And when I won't go any further with that, but you all know how Nancy could be and saying, "You're not going to do that. We're going to do it this way." And that kind of hit me right there. And I was okay up until I heard Josh and Gabby talking, and it just hit me again. And I look at all these pictures and I think of all these memories that I didn't think about that, or I didn't think about that, and I remember when this happened. It was just some wonderful times we had. She was a true key player in the beginning of my first movie. And kind of when I came to my parents and said, "Hey, listen, I want to get," and my mom and dad both said, well, my dad would say that, but my mom did. And the next thing I know, Nancy went and talked with them. I was getting it anyway. It was cool. I paid for it myself, but it was cool. And then all the trips, we did a couple trips to Utah together and stuff like that. Ski trips. We went up to Utah a couple of times, did that. And then she rented out a house in Tahoe where we came up and Steve and kids, you guys were there. And the story that I always heard from Nancy, Peter had hurt his, I'm not sure if it was his arm or his leg. And then on the next run, Nancy hurt herself. And the ski patrol said, well, I gotta go help this guy over here, then I'll be right back for you. And they wound up being Peter and Nancy, both one with a cast on the leg, one with a cast on the arm. And the story that I heard the best was Josh came out the next morning saying, I don't get it. Who's gonna take me skiing today? So that's just one of those stories that goes on and on. And I think about. She was very helpful with me, pushing me into working into special education. She got me a job. I'd already been up in the branch up in Utah. She got me a job with Beverly Hills Rec and Parks. Not getting me the job, but showing me who to talk to for outdoor ed, and which turned into a lot more ski trips, taking out the high school ski trips. All my friends were upset with me. I wanted to say something else. But I'm going on all these trips to ski and all this, and I'm getting paid for it. What a great life at 22 years old. My buddy Mark, who we became, brothers from another mother, so to speak, we went to 500 Beverly Hills high school plays that she was involved with. And most of them were good. Some of them were above me. I didn't get it all. But afterwards we'd leave, and she was truly, truly, truly in her, lack of a better terminology, that's what she loved. She just loved that stuff. And all of her students and all of her friends, even until 6 months ago, she said, well, this person who I coached and I taught and I was a school teacher, I just ran into them and we talked on Facebook, and I'm thinking, okay, Nancy, that's 45 years ago. Okay, good. But it's just one of those things that she really touched a lot of people out there. I remember she had a time where her and Peter were having a couple of issues, and she had a test or had a treatment done. So I flew up to San Francisco just to be with her, and she was so appreciative of it. And then a few years later, she flew down here when I went through my cancer stuff to deal with that. So we were there, it was just a hard time there. Her taking care of my mom when she got, to a point where she needed help making decisions, buying her a scooter that she figured out how Medicare or somebody would pay for that without her. She just really, like everything else, she took charge and moved forward with all of that. That's my story. So, again, thank you for all coming here, and Josh and Andy, you guys have been wonderful, absolutely wonderful. And that doesn't mean you and your spouses are not there. We just don't see it, But I know that you guys are going through a really hard time, and it's hard. There's no easy way to say it, get through it. You just have to live it, breathe through it, and take the time. Break that out, just hang in there for them.
Good crew. Now the entire second row. Shouldn't Today we celebrate a remarkable woman who we admired and adored, our cousin Nancy Faith. At Danny and Al's wedding last year, I was chatting with Nancy about morbid topics, and I asked her about dying and death and the eulogy I would one day make for her. She chuckled and said, "You have to promise me two things. You will be irreverent, happy, not sad, and try and make people laugh. And you will begin with my favorite interactive family rallying cry. Smith family. For those not familiar with this famous, loud, obnoxious chant, my increasingly fuzzy memory recalls that decades ago, when we engaged in one of our first family reunions, bringing together the Winehouse and Radin sides of the family, who derived from my Nana Shirley Smith and the Radin's grandma Jean Smith. Nancy wisely proclaimed that the matching shirts we were embarrassingly wearing were insufficient to call enough attention to our motley crew. In addition, we desperately required a loud, perpetual rallying cry. She demanded that this rallying cry be one to unite all of us and announce and proclaim our genetic identity, and mandate that it must be yelled, not spoken in unison and response, anytime anyone uttered the words, Smith family. Oh! At which point the only appropriate response was ho, which of course made me at the mature age of 17 or so giggle at the idea we were all calling each other hoes. So thank you, Nancy, for our rallying cry, our uniting chant. So while the Japanese World War II warriors had bonsai, Spartans aru, John Belushi in Animal House, toga. And in the same passionate, enthusiastic manner, we have Smith family. Oh! So, forgive me if that's an odd way to begin eulogy, but I made a Fancy a promise. And I love you so much, Fancy Nancy. And I hope somewhere up there you're laughing and chanting this. On to the more serious side of this celebration of life. With me are my wife, Alyssa, our children, Michaela, Hayden, and Connor, and Uncle Don, too. They join me today as we all profoundly mourn the loss of a dynamic, charismatic fighter who made a positive, lifelong impression on our hearts. We want to thank her so much for her love, the memories, the innumerable laughs, and the many lessons she taught us. Thank you, Josh, Marina, Danny, and Al, for giving us the opportunity to say a few words, or maybe more than a few words, I apologize, to honor her life and to celebrate her remarkable soul. Over the last few weeks, knowing that Nancy was rapidly deteriorating, we rifled through 50 years of photos, searching for memories in our time with Nancy. In picture after picture, we saw the same thing: her radiating smile, her bright, inviting eyes, her zest for life, and her incomparable, irrepressible spirit. And I cried and laughed and giggled. Cried some more, as I called dozens and dozens of photos, and I reflected on how amazingly lucky I was to call her my cousin, Fancy Nancy. For as long as I can remember, she was there. I distinctly recall going with family to Beverly Hills High School to watch Nancy beam as she managed and directed plays at their wonderful theater. And I admired how she was so creative and gregarious and confident on stage. Her students loved her, and I loved telling people she was my cousin. I had the good fortune to grow up in a blissful, unique environment. I lived 1 block from my grandparents' home, Nana Shirley and Papa Jerry. And their home felt like the center of our social and family world. All events were held at their home at Moneymark. Our extended family gathered constantly at the house to swim in their pool, play rubby cube, eat delicious, unhealthy, large quantities of food, play poker and acey-deucey for large sums of money, and share our love. Nana Shirley's sister Angie and her beloved Uncle Dave were warm, kind, wonderful, and always around. I adored them as a child and loved every visit I had with them and their amazing children, who were 15 or so years older than me, who I idolized and looked up to, Mark, Linda, and Nancy. Our times together were legendary, and some of my favorite memories as a child involved this extended family and our playful times of holidays, birthdays, Passover, Rosh Hashanah, Hanukkah, and on and on. The 5 of us talked for days leading up to this eulogy to share stories and reminisce about what touched each of us most about Fancy Nancy. We each want to share a few of our favorite Fancy Nancy memories. Michaela.
Auntie Nancy always made sure we had fun, even if our parents weren't so happy about what that fun included. Often it involved making latkes together at Hanukkah and slaughtering hot oil everywhere. At one point, she even bought us a drum set without asking her parents, which quickly ended up in the garage. Reading the Fancy Nancy children's books together, laughing, being lucky enough to have a cool cousin with an awesome convertible BMW that she let us ride around in with the hood down. And when paparazzi and Fancy Nancy would fight over who originated the famous family cocoa recipe, was it Shirley or Jean? It was Shirley. And for the record, the only good cocoa is a sweet cocoa, not savory.
Something my favorite Fancy Nancy preparation was Fancy Nancy style that we took my bar mitzvah at the beginning. And she would take me around the block in a convertible, driving faster and faster and letting me steer. Reading books with me when I was little, and laughing constantly with Fancy Nancy and Cousin Rachel at so many fun Shabbats at our home. I love that she would join us for many Halloween parties and always dressed up. Her Van Gogh costume was always one of my favorites.
Made the best lockers, and I love having her with us to Monica. I love playing Rummy Q with her, and sometimes enjoy teaching her. I remember her reading books to us when I was small, and she loved changing voices and acting out characters from the book, and she always made me laugh.
Nancy was one of the first people that I ever met when I started dating here 22 years ago. At Rachel's spot. And I just recall her warm smile, her welcoming way. She was really a tremendous, inviting person and really helped welcome me into the family. While she lived in LA, she came to our home for many Shabbats, and I loved how interactive she was with our kids. And she would come over and she wanted to bring all this food, and she would never eat the time. She would just sit there. And I was so really wanted to, have her partake in all of this. It was, for us, she comes over. It was so great. She would sit there and she would laugh and tell stories and, share about when you guys were growing up. And she was so proud of you. I admired what a fighter she was despite 20 years of cancer, and how she never let the doctor down and always made positivity and optimism. Wasn't part of the conversation. And she was a strong, wonderful, and just welcoming person. And that was her.
He's holding on to me because for a number of decades, I've never been able to speak at a funeral or a wedding without bawling. So this is her. Am I? Yes, I know. Am I the only one here who senses Nancy all over this room? Reminds me, when I think of Nancy, I think of thank heaven for little girls get bigger every day. And she was a little girl singing that at 2 years old. I think it was my brother Roger's bar mitzvah. And she was a little girl who just got bigger every day, but she was a little girl. She was a little girl. Am I the only one here who has met someone and immediately felt a connection, a kinship, like previous lives or something like that? Nod your head if you've ever felt that about anyone. That's 40% of you. From the time Nancy was born, no, from the time she was 2, I felt that connection. I felt, whoa, were you my mother? Was I your father? Were we married before? No joke, and it was wonderful. I felt that same connection with cousin Sherwood from the other side of the family. From the time I met her, we were connected. And I lost Sherwood.
Mhm.
Nancy epitomized one of my all-time favorite John Wooden quotes. Things turn out best for the people who make the best
of the way things turn out. Nancy believed wholeheartedly in the importance of family. She constantly talked about how important it was to have family close by, to continually build bonds with family, and to ensure that over the decades, family came together for all major events, celebrations, and tragedies. The greatest success in my eyes, it will be the enduring legacy of my Fancy Nancy has been exhibited in her children, Josh and David, over the last many years, and particularly in the last months. I am so proud of the way each of you, Josh and Dave, Al and Marina, cared for her as she declined. I know how carefully you watched over her and protected her and tried to make her laugh in ease. In ease for pain. It fills me with pride. We thank you and love you. You are an inspiration. Like Nancy, you reminded all of us of our obligation to pay it forward. We love you. Nancy, I do believe you were here. We love you and we thank you. You impacted our lives in so many ways. We will always love you and have a special corner of our hearts to keep you with us always. And in your honor, all of us yell, Smith family. Oh!
Heard from so many different people, so many common threads. Because when a person lives out their true, authentic self, you hear these same stories, but what it really does is codify that this is who they were. Nancy didn't have a different version of Nancy, even though she could hold beautiful different relationships. As we say these final few prayers and then go from here to internment, say a few more blessings, I want to remind you of the notion inside the Jewish faith that memory is a blessing. When we say the words Zifranali Bracha, what we are actually saying is that all the inspiration that you reflect on right now, all the ways that Nancy pointed out to enjoy this world, the understanding that it takes copious amounts of work, difficult, long work to put something together to be proud of. That it took relationships, that it took forethought, that it took real time and energy is something that each and every one of you are able to reflect on and can take into the world. You mentioned that Nancy fought for a long time. Chronic fatigue, the cancer, these different pieces that would ultimately stop her from professional life, which would then move her into doing the same thing for a non-professional setting. But when you truly commit your energy to the things you love, there is no limitation to how much you can prove and act in this world. I ask everyone to please rise for the words of El Marin. These words in which we ask whatever version of something larger, divine, God, overall presence, that we know that same level of compassion and love that Nancy showed to everyone will be shown to her. The source of life, the fountain of life, open our hearts to compassion and our eyes to wisdom, that we might glimpse in perfect peace and sadness the way of all things. May Nancy's memory be for us a blessing. May we never let the light of her love grow dim. May we remember all of her worthy and righteous deeds, that her memory be forever bound up in the bonds of life. Elmalei Rachamim, Shochem Berolim, Hamatzim Menucha Nefona Tachat Knafecha Shina, Kedoshim V'Tovarim, K'Zohar HaRazkim Azkirim, Et Nishmat Nachama Fuga Bat David, Shachalacha Lo Olama, Ba'al Charachamim Yisparab, Basater Knafav La'olamim, V'Zocher V'Tzaror HaChaim Et Nishmata, Adonai Funacha Alta, V'Chatzanuach B'Shalom Al Mishkava, V'Nomar, Amen. God of abundant mercy, God most high, in the soul of our loved one who is gone to eternity, find the gift of perfect peace in your embrace. Hold me with the pure, whose light shines like the radiance of heaven. Compassionate God, hold her close to you forever, so her soul may be bound up in the bonds of life eternal. May she find a true home. May she rest in peace. Together we say, Amen. There's a blessing that we often say only in celebratory ritual. The Birkat HaKohanim, the priestly benediction, are words that we use and reflect in all of the life cycle moments from baby naming to our bat mitzvah to wedding. That talks about that light of God that not only can shine through us, but can decently shine out to the world. These words, not only may God be there and protect each one of us, not only may we use the life that we have to truly feel the warmth of that divine light, but as Nancy's life shows so many of you, you can share that same light on to the world. Through love, through appreciation of culture and of people, of celebration of the world that we have around us. When you do that, you are only spreading that same divine pure light further out into this world. For that we say, Amen. We're now going to make our way to the graveside, where we will continue and finish with the words of Kaddish Tone and begin this last piece of physically saying goodbye and tangible acts of love.
Josh, can you hear me?
Yes, hi.
Do you want to say anything to Josh and Danny right now, or do you want to wait till later?
We can say, why don't we all, let's all unmute and we can all say something to them. That would be great.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will be following up at the end of the procession to Mount Jerusalem.
Do you want to go to gallery mode?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Stanley go first, and follow behind. We'll go up in a procession together.
Mute everybody.
Hey Josh, I've got Josh Finkel here.
Hi.
Hi, Josh. What a beautiful, beautiful service. Just so gorgeous. Just made such a huge difference. It was amazing.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry you couldn't come. Thank you.
Oh, me too. But you know, thank you, Liz. We were all there. You know, in spirit, and it was really, really moving and such a beautiful tribute to who she was, and really captured her in the room. Was really special. Thank you for letting us, for knowing about it and letting us be this way.
There's a whole group there.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, love you. Thank you, Cha. That was great.
Okay,
It was so great when I'm sorry to make you sit on the floor. But
Oh, I know. My legs were like freezing up. I have this. Do you want me to pick up? I'll pick up.
Yes, that would be great. And maybe you can scan it, you know, just like take some screenshots and you could shoot it out to the group.
Shoot it to everybody. So I don't need to go a hard copy for everybody. I'll get one for you though. Like
great, great. And then just screenshot it and you can just throw it in the Facebook group, you know, as a picture. Yeah, I'm also, you guys, I recorded this, so I'm going to render this and post this link so people who didn't get a chance to sit in can listen to that.
There's a few other images that they had on the table.
Mm.
And I'm not taking snapshots, so this is going to be on the recording. Maybe you can
right.
Because we need to move out to the
Oh,
Is your umbrella?
I think so.
All right, I need to pop out there, so I'm not holding up the whole universe here.
and you're going to the internment. Can you stay? Can you?
Yeah.
I'll keep the Zoom room open. Let's do like we can do part 2.
Is it okay if I just step right here? Yes, I can see. Quantum kids were all 60.
Finance.
It's weird.
Oh. Good job, Liz. Thank you.
Dust returns to earth as it was, the spirit returns to the divine David. It's only the house of the spirit which now lay within the earth. The spirit itself is not something that dies. Receive in mercy, O God, the soul of our heart, Nancy. Grant her that everlasting peace which you prepared for each of us in the world to come. But no human eye has seen, nor ear has heard, nor mind has grasped. Still is our sure inheritance, our everlasting portion. God, help us to understand that grief and love go hand in hand. The pain which loss inflicts is the measure of love stronger than death. We cry in the anguish of our hearts. The Spirit of God, we commit all that is precious to us. I mentioned earlier that this is the last tangible act of love. Our tradition is very, very clear about the notion of dirt, of soil, of taking this dirt, taking the shovel, and being a part of this physical act of burial. That is because there is a difference between this physical notion and all of the love and the honoring that can continue, that will continue, in the stories, in the memories. And when you take memory and you live it, and you reflect on it, and you celebrate it, you lift it into being a blessing. That is the essence of that notion of Zikrana Libracha, that notion of may memory be a blessing. In a few minutes after we've taken the moment to put some of the dirt in and to help physically bury Nancy, we're going to say the words of the Kaddish Yatom. This prayer is not about loss. It's not about mourning. It's about seeing the beauty that's in the world, especially the beauty that others might walk right by in this. When you invoke Nancy's name and you say her name from Kaddish Yatom, you are allowing her name to be part of the blessing of experiencing the true wonder of this world. That act of love does not end. So we're going to take a few moments now in The shovels are here. We'll place some of the dirt. We'll give everyone an opportunity to place some of the dirt. Please watch your step. The ground is also muddy on top of each and even the beautiful roots of this tree that prove that life continues even this experience of how loved ones in the past also makes it a good tree. So please. Better to be sitting once you shove something. Shovels at this point, if anyone would like to start with the second shovel as well.
For the 181ers. This is for all of us, guys.
Thank you, Liz.
We are here. Loving Nancy. Her final set design.
Thank you.
This feels so unreal.
I know. This is really it. Can't believe it.
Just for you guys to know, as I was driving up through that horrendous storm coming north, as I got up close to this area, it broke, and there was a huge rainbow in the sky, which I just thought was so appropriate in this moment for Nancy.
I love that. I love that. There's no accidents. Brilliant.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
just huge, huge rainbow, like ginormous.
I love that. Of course. Of course.
Yep.
Look what a beautiful, sun-shining, gorgeous day it's turning into with such fresh air and beauty. It's wonderful.
Yeah. And this tree that she's sitting beneath could not be more beautiful.
And she's with her grandma, which is so wonderful.
When you are better, we'll come up here.
It reminds me of the giving tree, which
The giving tree.
yeah.
Yes.
I gave my daughter that book thinking your production.
Oh.
Like to find
That's right near where my parents are. They're inside one of those buildings.
They've asked us to come over to them, moving further away.
Liz, if you want to go into one of those buildings, find out where Groucho Marx is in one of those buildings. And he's on the right kind of angled wall, like the one side of the U, and in the center bottom of the U, let's say. Both my parents are there. They're with Groucho Marx. So you can find out where that is if you want to, if you want to say hi to them. My
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
You're literally steps away.
There are many reasons and many roles that we play when we gather together, especially graveside. Everyone has this opportunity to act the way. Meaning family has the role of beginning saying Kaddish. To everyone who's here, family and friend alike, it is that support and love that truly serves such an important role. On page 4 of our booklet, you will see the word of tradition on the word Kaddish. Tradition has an interesting setup. We begin today saying these words of Kaddish each day. Then Shabbat for the entirety of the year, then on the yearly yahrzeit. Let that schedule be a reminder that is part of your healing process as well. Today is not a day items tomorrow, any time. Then it takes a year to even begin to start to understand how to honor this, love, and celebrate. Let that year is not the only time we will remember. This is the time which our tradition says, make sure that one's name is used directly as a blessing. So this is that other act of love. It starts now and will continue.
Page 4 of the same books. May the one creates peace in the heavens above. Bring that peace, that holiness, that safety down to us, down to all people, down to all of the inhabitants of this earth. Together we say, the stories of the world that radiated so clearly against his soul. Anyone doesn't have the animals, its residents, support so everyone can gather, continue to share stories, share love. Thank you.
Happened, Liz. It was amazing to have you there and kind of archive this. I will post it and
Yeah, that way everybody else can see it,
want
can
to,
connect, and maybe we can have, maybe our next Zoom can be dedicated to us sharing stories of Nancy some more with each other.
Yeah,
Yes.
we can even I can even record that meeting and we can send that to Josh and Danny too.
Yeah, and maybe we go out of our way to find a few more folks who actually, you know, like Turtle Top. I was thinking about the fact we could try to reach out to the cast of The Little Prince.
And Shel Silverstein. Yeah.
And yeah, see if we can pull some more folks together. If Bronwyn felt up to it, you know, even let's just see how many folks we can make a point of making the next Zoom dedicated to come on out, join us in honor of Nancy, as opposed to just a regular.
Yeah, and everyone share one story about, you know, a favorite memory or whatever. That'd be really lovely.
Yeah, and maybe if we let people know that the point behind it is to record special stories for her kids, that, you know, even if somebody can't come to the Zoom, they could record something and send it to us that we add into it. You know what
Just
I mean?
upload it and drop it in. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
I love that. All right,
Yeah,
Liz.
a love letter
Have
from.
a great time back at the house. Send our love, and I'll make sure that they have the link to this as well because they didn't record it, you know. So it'll be nice
Right.
for the family to have as much as they can of this as well. So that'd be great.
Yeah, exactly. Good call there, Josh. I'm glad you thought of it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for making it happen, Liz. You're Spielberg. Thank you.
Love you guys.
You're Spielberg and Lucas all rolled into one, baby.
There you go. Sorry about the times it was shaking. I was like, my leg was getting numb. I had to like change position.
Oh, you're like on the floor, on the carpet, like making this happen. So you're amazing.
Yeah, and I felt so bad about, sorry, family members of this person who's like sitting on the floor next to your pew. And then when I stood up at the end with the prayer, I'm thinking, I'm so sorry to those of you on the back on the right-hand side who now are having to stare into my head instead of your direct view that you had. Boo-hoo.
I think everybody knew what was going on, and like, you know, that you were a cast of thousands. So
yeah, well, welcome to showbiz, people. Nancy would have liked it this way.
yes, exactly. All right, you guys, I love you. Here's to Nancy. Here's to Nancy. Godspeed. Love you guys. Bye.